Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from today. My name is Josh Whittam. I'm going to be the MC for today's call and help keep us on track. But I want to welcome everyone to Dreamforce to You for a select number of our customers. I am the account executive for Wolters Kluwer, but joining us today is a variety of customers and your peers. So I want to say, good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to Thomson Reuters, Hearst, Neptune, News Corp, Nielsen, Time, Discovery, and of course Pearson, and all the folks from my customer, Wolters Kluwer. I think we have an amazing week teed up for you all. It's going to be a jam-packed 3 days with a variety of different sessions and a lot of fun. And we're glad to have you join us to kick things off. Before we get started, just a few housekeeping items. You guys have your cameras turned off and your microphones muted for a reason. We want to make sure that we give our presenters the ability to deliver their content to you uninterrupted, but we want this to be interactive. So if you do have questions as they come up, feel free to use the chat functionality in the Zoom meeting and submit those questions, and we'll be sure to get to as many of them as we possibly can. And then last but not least, before I turn it over to our host, is that we are recording this. So for those of you who have peers that weren't able to make it today, we will make this available for you on demand for future playback. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my peer. Many of you know her, Manuela, and Manuela is going to introduce our speakers and partners for today.
Hello and good morning. Michaela, could you hit record?
It is recording right now.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We are so excited to welcome you all to our Dreamforce to You for Service Cloud 360. And I just want to introduce some of my colleagues and compatriots. As you know, many of you do know me. I'm with Service Cloud, all things customer experience, customer journey, and digital transformation. And I will pass it to my trusted partners at this point.
Great. Thanks, Manuela. I'm John Heater, and I head up analytics and product on the NeuraFlash side. And if you want to advance one slide, Manuela.
Can we just do everybody first?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Lucas?
Sure, I'll go next. I'm Luke Sanders. I work on the Salesforce Alliance here at Coveo, and I'm here with my colleague, Max.
Hi, everyone. I'm Max. I'm a product manager here at Coveo. I work on the Coveo for Salesforce solutions.
Hi, everyone. Eric Sank with NeuraFlash, Director of Solution Engineering. I help our customers really define their vision and roadmap for our Service Cloud and other technology features. Michaela?
Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela McCarthy. I'm the event marketing lead here at NeuraFlash. I'm excited to be on this call with you all today.
Thanks, guys. So a little bit about NeuraFlash. Contact centers are a core component of what we do on the NeuraFlash side. So for those that don't know, the DNA of our team really comes from three primary companies: Nuance, Haywire, and Salesforce. At Nuance, our team led sales, development, and integration of some of the largest contact centers in the world. Haywire, which was a messaging product enabling two-way SMS, was actually acquired by Salesforce and drives the backbone of the SMS channel on the Salesforce platform today. And of course, Salesforce, which is the basis of everything we do at NeuraFlash. So collectively, the founding team has over 60 years of experience working in the AI and contact center space. We're also Salesforce Platinum Consulting Partners with a dedication to customer success, which you can see reflected in our App Exchange reviews. We do work across Service Cloud, contact centers, and field service, in addition to our work with Einstein bots and Service Cloud Voice. In addition, we're implementation partners for Coveo. So let me pass it to Lucas to introduce Coveo.
Hi, thanks for that, John. Good to be with everyone. As John mentioned, Coveo is an ISV partner of Salesforce. NeuraFlash is one of our trusted SI partners. And we're best known for providing AI-powered search in Salesforce. Search is something very easy to understand. I'm sure all of you have executed a dozen searches already today. But you also know what bad search feels like. You probably don't have to dig very deep to think of a frustrating service experience that was caused by a bad search. This is important because Salesforce research shows that search is often the primary interaction point for most generations of customers. So by capturing this initial query, we're able to ascertain a lot of information about intent, what customers are looking for, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to find when they reach your web properties. But onto this, we've added a layer of tracking analytics, which lets us not only understand and provide better search results, but also to full-on orchestrate the service across the service properties within Salesforce, as well as uniting other properties. And we'll touch more on the unified journey a little bit later. Once we understand intent and are tracking the journey, we can provide some predictive recommendations and tailor again to that persona. And the scale has given us the privilege to work with some really innovative brands across technology media, including Salesforce. So the screens up here are an example of Salesforce as a customer. We use us in call centers for success agents, on the Trailblazer community to help customers self-serve, and also in Einstein bots to serve customers, partners, agents, and employees. So excited to speak with you today, and I'll pass it back to Manuela.
Thank you. And as always, we will be talking about some future technologies, and you should always make your decisions based on currently available products. We want to start by thanking you all. We hope that you and all of yours are well, and we appreciate you and are here to help as we continue on our journey together. So we are in the midst of unprecedented times, and a survey that we did back in May, 69% of people believe that work has changed forever. We're in a digital everything world, work from home, live anywhere, learn anywhere. And so in times like this, it's more important than ever that we have trust. And it's kind of interesting. Trust is now the number one important criteria for our customers. And it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, do you trust people today to come in and deliver or work in your house? There we are furiously wiping our carts. So more than ever, it's going to be important to feel comfortable and feel secure with the people that you work with and that you are doing business with. 21 years ago, Salesforce, when we built this company, built our core values, and trust is our number one value. And the high reliability of our platform has been a thing we've always talked about. Health and safety of the community has always been a part of that, but more recently with work.com, and we participated in over 50 million pieces of PPE. It's taken on a new and even more urgent reality in this environment. Customer success and your success is key to our success. And our success is because of people like you. And being a technology company, innovation has always been central as well. And we've always talked about our 3 releases a year. This year we did releases in 3 weeks and in 3 months. So it's been a pretty interesting time and a challenge to our key values. Equality has always been key and more important than ever in these current times. Salesforce recently contributed $1 million to the NAACP. We have over $1 million contribution to development of diverse employees, and as always, the 1-1-1, 1% of our time, 1% of equity, and 1% of product. And most recently, over 540 million volunteer hours, 340 million grants, and more than 10,000 customers like you who are participating in the same. So as we talk about that and we think about trusted customer service driving loyalty, how do you get to that? Well, you get to it by saying, how can I help, instead of hold please, or we'll be there in 15 minutes instead of the 4-hour window. And most recently, with video support for safety, and 89% of our customers have said that this loyalty is the critical component to doing business with companies. And digital is here on every channel. Even first-time users have said that they're going to continue to use digital. And so what that means for all of us as we think about planning for our future and planning our customer journeys is to start thinking, how do we connect all these different channels across departments, across lines of business? And when we're building our plan, how do we think about the customer journey and get rid of the silos? The key to that, of course, is our single source of truth through the Salesforce Customer 360. And the platform is the place where we can capture every interaction, whether it's through sales, service, marketing, employees, partners. And Einstein is the steel thread that takes all of what we capture and learn to anticipate and suggest. And the Service Cloud Console, which you're all quite familiar with, is truly now the unified workspace. And no matter where you come to us on what channel in the cloud, whether it's through the help centers in the customer communities or customer portals, whether you're doing an online submission, you're engaging digitally through SMS or WhatsApp or chat, and now our newest channel, which we'll talk about today, voice. This is the place where you will be able to capture every interaction. And Service Cloud Voice, which is what we're going to show a bit more of today, is really truly now bringing us the cloud telephony inside of the Salesforce platform. And we're calling that CTI 3.0 because everything is being captured and the voice is being transcribed to data using the same objects that you use for your chat or for your chatbot. And again, that's going to allow you to unlock more AI to be able to anticipate, use the voice to make suggestions for representatives, and then provide real-time supervision and coaching. And the speed with which you're able to do that has dramatically increased. And in fact, Salesforce is now has 100 customers in 100 days since we started in July. And the key to all of that, of course, is you, our Trailblazer community, and our partner ecosystem, like our trusted partners with us today. Trailhead, where you can learn for free, and we encourage you to continue. We keep adding more courses. And of course, our customer success group, which is here to provide personalized guidance. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to our trusted partners.
Thanks, Manuela. So I talked a little bit earlier about who Coveo is. And here I want to talk a little bit about what we do and where we fit into the Salesforce Customer 360. Manuela, if you'll tap next for the build, thank you. It's that fit that's extremely important. Talking a little bit about where Coveo fits in, obviously we're focusing on service today, but what we find is that it's extremely important for service departments to be able to interface with other departments in the company. One of the biggest frustrations that customers manifest in interactions is feeling like the different departments of the company are not connected, not speaking to each other, not offering unified experience. A big part of what we do is indexing content, external content repositories that live outside Salesforce and being able to pull them into the Salesforce experience. So that knowledge, that tribal knowledge, that content is available to all departments and able to be used in every interactions without the swivel chair, without delays to log in and look for content, and supporting the unified workspace that Manuela was just speaking about. To add to that, we're stitching together that content with the user analytics and journey tracking. So we're able to build a profile of the person and what they're looking for. And most importantly, we're harmonizing the external content with Salesforce as a single source of truth. That includes fully respecting roles and permissions and using Salesforce as well as the single pane of glass to display all this content. So there's not the scramble to log in and let me put you on hold while I look for your policy information, et cetera. For our customers, what we hear from them is this is a big catalyst for their service transformation because it removes the need for content lift and shifts, which can be tedious and take a long time, and it keeps eyes in Salesforce, so you're better leveraging the investment that you've already made and avoiding the gaps in experience. Because as we've all had in negative interactions, those are some of the quickest ways to erode trust, is feeling like the stakeholders you're interacting with aren't speaking with each other and don't know who you are as a customer. So our goal is to help Salesforce close those gaps in experience, to foster that trust and build it, and augmenting Salesforce's ability to deliver the right content to the right person at the right time. So the main goals of this that we're talking about today are allowing agents to be more proficient, allowing customers to better self-serve on their own terms. That's all from me for now. So I'll pass it off to our friends at NeuraFlash to discuss how this is applied.
Great, thanks, Lucas. So you got an overview of the technologies and thought process for building an intelligent contact center. And a lot of what we do on the NeuraFlash side is help customers actually implement, improve, and integrate these systems. So let's baseline on what is an intelligent contact center. When we consider an intelligent contact center, we really focus on 4 key capabilities. The first is automation, so allowing you to scale your impact with customers without needing to scale your resources through self-service and guided service. Second is personalization. So you want to ensure that you aren't giving generic canned responses, but actually helping your customers solve their specific problems. Third is relevance. So you want to make sure that you deliver the right service at the right time. And finally, analytics. So that's key to ensuring that you're delivering outcomes, letting the data guide your decision-making process as you progress on your intelligent contact center journey. So of course that makes sense conceptually, but what does it actually mean? The reason we focus on those themes is that they actually net out to different technologies based on the channel and use case that you're focusing on. So when you're applying that to chat and messaging, that means leveraging the power of an Einstein bot. When applied to voice and phone channels, that means Service Cloud Voice and voice bots. And then finally, when you want to apply it to your website, community pages, or Service Console, that means things like knowledge retrieval and pulling critical insights. So that's the building blocks, but ultimately what really matters are the results. So if we look at how we skillfully apply these technologies, our customers have been able to drive really tremendous value and efficiencies, be it through relieving the burden on your contact center through automation, which as you can see, get huge gains in things like case deflection and handle time, or uplifting all of your agents to perform like your best agents by accelerating agent onboarding and identifying opportunities to upsell and expand relationships with your customers, or just overall driving improved customer experience. So regardless of the channel, we see that you can create a better and deeper experience with your users. But enough talking about an intelligent contact center. Let's see one in action. So with that, I'll hand it off to Eric and Max to step through how NeuraFlash and Coveo enable these capabilities.
Great, thank you, John. So to hop right into the demo, we've created a few personas and vignettes to walk through some of the technology and capabilities today. So we'll start out really from the eyes of the customer and see how we leverage Salesforce's newest product, Service Cloud Voice, to really drive not only some self-service personalization and customer experience, but then also how we dramatically reduce average handle time for agents. And then we'll also show how the same technology can be applied on the agent console view for digital channels and bots. And throughout the entire demo, we'll also show how we leverage a solution like Coveo and really incorporate that not only into the customer's perspective and their journey, but also to really assist the agents as well. So in today's example, we have a company here called NeuraFlash Technologies. We'll say it's a networking solution type organization and primarily working with B2B type customers here. And we'll say in the instance today, I'll be a customer of NeuraFlash Technologies who's recently purchased a few of their products. And you'll see right when we place the call in, to their contact center. Service Cloud Voice is going to power that interaction. As John had mentioned, you're going to see some themes around being able to personalize that conversation right from the initial interaction, drive some self-service and automation, and then also provide relevance to the agents as well.
Hi there, Eric. Thanks for contacting NeuraFlash Technologies and being a loyal customer. I see you've recently purchased our latest gigabit routers and switches. Is this why you're calling in today?
Yes, we're currently unable to connect any of our devices to the routers.
So sorry to hear that. On your main network server, are there any indicator lights flashing at green?
No, there aren't.
And can you confirm power is getting to each of the switches? Each switch should be in green in the mobile diagnostics application.
No, there's a few switches that are in red.
For routers that are not receiving power, please power cycle them. You can do this by shutting off the router, waiting 10 seconds, and turning it back on. Were you able to solve the issue?
Yes, that worked.
Great. What else can I help you with today?
I'd like to ask an expert a few questions about the setup guide.
Setup guides are best reviewed with a member of our technical support team. Let me get you over to an engineer who can help. Thank you for calling. Your call is very important to us and will be answered in the order it was received.
So from here, you saw the interaction between that voice bot or that IVR and the customer, able to personalize that conversation, understand perhaps why what they're inquiring about, and understand again from that customer profile, drive the conversation. We provided a level of self-service by providing some troubleshooting steps, but where and when needed, we needed to escalate the conversation in real time to an agent. So you'll see here on the agent console view, you'll see a call that's actually now natively being routed through omnichannel. So if you're currently using any kind of CTI provider or third-party telephony, typically those require a separate widget that's has a light integration to Salesforce, but doesn't have full native control capabilities. So you'll see now we can now have the notion of a true blended agent. So your agents could be working on the phone channel, chat channels, email channels, and you can use omnichannel as your central routing function to be able to assign the work to the agent with the right skills and availability for that specific call. And as I accept the call here, you'll notice we have native call controls right within omnichannel. So we're now in this conversation with the customer. We have some basic capabilities to go on mute, go on hold, end the call. We can go ahead and transfer other teams if we need to. But you'll see we can also extend some of the basic call controls onto the actual Service Cloud console. And there's some widgets here we can use to control that as well. And the reason why some of this is important is because this is helping us drive that agent experience and automation. So really to expedite the process and efficiency, we're now kind of embedding phone calls and call controls right within a case management structure and really kind of enabling a smoother transition and process between the two. What you'll see here that immediately pops on the screen once we do accept a call is this notion of a voice call record. So this is a new object with Service Cloud Voice, but think of it as containing all of the fields or the metadata specific to this actual voice call. So similarly, if you're using Salesforce Chat today and you have chat transcripts, this is kind of an analogous object to that. So we're treating voice calls similarly to how we treat other digital channels here. Some of the basic information you'll see is about caller number, call accept and end times. We'll show a little bit later how we use this to drive some of those analytics. But from an agent perspective, what we can do immediately is start to pop the most relevant information to the agent here. So based on the caller number, we can automatically pop that contact information, give this agent a good indication of exactly who's calling in, so removing any kind of need for a quick lookup. We can automatically have cases generated and pre-filled with some of the fields that maybe that IVR or that voice bot's automatically already collected in that conversation to really drive the reduction in handle time. And then you'll see we can also start to leverage other features like knowledge, and we'll look at next best action in closer detail as well. Notice as I'm speaking in real time, this is one of the most unique features of Service Cloud Voice, but this is real-time voice-to-text transcription. So as I'm speaking as the agent, or if I'm speaking from the customer side, which you can see above in the transcript between that voice bot and the customer there, we now have a full record of exactly what this conversation entailed of in text. And what that provides us is some unique capabilities with analytics, but also in real time, we can start leveraging Einstein for service features. So we'll for example, say that the agent is maybe unfamiliar with how to handle this type of issue. Next best action can help guide the agent on some next steps based on the conversation that's taking place. You'll see here we know that the customer is looking for perhaps router updates or some setup guide inquiries. We can use these next best actions, which are triggered with flows, to drive a level of personalization with call scripts. So you'll see here, we can provide the agent exactly how they should respond or what types of questions they should follow up and ask the customer. And again, this is personalized based on pulling the information from a contact record, a case record to really drive that process automation. And then we can use these as simple widgets to collect the information we need. So based on how the customer's responding, we can say they're looking for update procedures. You'll again see based on responses, we can dynamically drive the conversation. Here's a unique response or a dynamic response based on the initial input that we had on the last page. You'll see here we can also do things like subscribe customers to emails or opt them in for text messages. So there's a whole variety of use cases we can use next best action and flows for here. But quickly and easily, you can imagine perhaps in this type of scenario, agents may need to transfer calls to other teams, loop in another team member to help them out. We're able to really guide them through those specific actions, dramatically increase first contact resolution while also providing a great experience and also dramatically reducing handle time. And to talk more about how we leverage cases and to talk a little bit with the Coveo Insight panel, I'm going to pass it over to Max here.
Thanks, Eric. That was awesome. Like I really like to see how we're personalizing the experience for agents. And now I'm excited to walk you guys through the Coveo Insight panel that you can see here on the right side of the screen. So what we're going to see is really how the Insight panel helps your agent find relevant content that they need to solve cases efficiently using Coveo's machine learning. So one of the first things that you can notice is the recommended badge for agents. So this is indicating the recommended content for agents is really description. We're leveraging machine learning to find the most relevant articles for your agents to help your customers. And that is really important because we know that you have thousands of knowledge articles, and there might be hundreds of knowledge articles about, in this case, about routers. So we really need to identify what model it is and really look at the pattern of other agents and how they've been successful to really find out the top content that will help your agents help their customers. As you can see, as Eric is scrolling down, there's multiple types of content as well. So with the Coveo Index, agents can have access not only to knowledge articles in Salesforce, but also other types of Salesforce objects like cases, and they can also have access to external content like YouTube videos. So I think as Lucas mentioned earlier, we know that large enterprise, you have content that's sitting a little bit everywhere, and that's a key point is that you really want to be able to leverage Coveo Index, bring all of that content together and make it accessible for agents. So now that we're looking at the content, I think the agent is curious to not only send a knowledge article, but also find videos for their customers. I think customers like to see some images and videos. So we're gonna go ahead and search for the router setup guide, but a video version of it. So router setup video. As you can see here, the Coveo search is returning only videos. So this is the type of content that is being relevant for the agent right now. And agents can quickly attach a video and send it as an email. So not only you have articles, but you also have videos, which is very relevant for your customers. So in a nutshell, we saw how the Coveo Insight panel really helps your agents to be more efficient and personalize their conversation. And let's take a look now at how Coveo can help your customers on the community side of things. So we set up a community for the NeuraTech company. And in this case, we're the same customers. So we're Eric and coming back to the community in a couple of weeks. And this time I have a new issue. But before I jump into my issue, you can notice that the homepage of the community is really personalized for Eric. And as a customer, I think that's what we all want. We want a community that's easy to use, that's seamless, and that's personalized and relevant just for me. So as you can see here, we have Coveo recommendation components that are really looking at the profile of Eric. So we're looking at his topics of interest, the products he's purchased in the past, and we're able to predict what kind of knowledge content is interesting for him. So really, we're looking at the product that you have and what other users like you, what kind of content they're reading. And really, in this way, we're able to find the most relevant knowledge articles and videos for you to really make the experience seamless. But it's not only about your products, but it can also be about discovering new content and discovering new products. So we can also add another component, what people like you are also liking and what they care about and other articles that they're reading. So really the goal here is to personalize, again, the experience for your customers. So we're going to go ahead and back to the search box. And today, our customer has an issue with and he wants to troubleshoot his router. Yeah. So here, as Lucas mentioned, I think Coveo is well known for its AI-powered search. So here we've added the AI-powered search to the community. And as you can see, there's a few points that I'd like to highlight. Is first, the machine learning on the results. So based on the most successful knowledge articles, we're able to predict, again, which articles are the most relevant for the customer based on the query that they've just performed. So you can see the recommended badges again here. This means that it's been powered by machine learning, but it can also be boosted manually by your admins. Another thing you can notice is the same content that you're making available to agent, the same data sources can be used under your community. But you can also control which content you want to show for your customers versus your agent. But the goal here is really to show that we have videos, again, that are coming from outside of Salesforce, like YouTube, and we can click on a quick view to really watch that YouTube video within the community. And that's important for the customer experience, so your customers are going to like to only stay in one platform. And also for you, it's important to be able to keep your customer within your community because you can learn more about them and keep track of the data and their customer journey. So basically, if they leave your platform, then you lose track of your customer and you don't know exactly what they're doing and you cannot learn from them. So that's super important when you're collecting data for machine learning. So now we're going to go back to the homepage and take a look at the Einstein bot experience for customers in the community, and I'll pass it back to Eric.
Thank you, Max. So continuing on the journey here, as Max mentioned, we can leverage some of the content on the page. If we need to get in touch with the support here, we're going to look at what an example of an Einstein bot interaction may look like here. So here you'll see, perhaps again, it's a few weeks later, or a few days later for that same customer that interacted on the voice channel. We can drive some of the self-service and automation with the Einstein bot, but also drive some awareness of exactly which channel they're interacting on. So you'll see here we can, again, have the abilities to personalize the conversation, perhaps if the customer's authenticated into the Salesforce community here. And again, we can try to be proactive, personalize that conversation. We know from their activities on the community, they're looking for perhaps some troubleshooting steps on routers, and the bot can be trained on how to identify this and then drive the conversation with that as well. So you'll see we can say, yes, we need some more help with that. Just as we showed with the voice bots, we can leverage natural language processing with the platform here. So I'll go ahead and say, I am getting error code. And then you'll see from here, Einstein is able to leverage natural language, understand exactly what the customer is asking for. Perhaps this is a common error code issue. We can provide some level of details to help them troubleshoot this conversationally, and also provide them a few steps on how to solve this issue here. You'll see we can always collect feedback from the customer to see how helpful or accurate these responses are. In this instance, we'll say this particular response didn't quite work. And really from there, we can actually now start to power some of this automation using Coveo as well. So you'll see here, this is going to do a deeper search using Coveo, and we can actually surface up specific knowledge articles that may be applicable to help the customer here. What you're seeing here within chat is actually a NeuraFlash asset called the UI UX Enhancer that enables us to basically surface up some visual components. These are some basic mini cards. We can also drive some of that same experience we showed you on the community search and also embed videos right within chat. So really, regardless of that channel of interaction that the customer is choosing to interact on, we can really drive kind of that same level of visual support throughout their journey here. And now typically we provided an adequate amount of content to really help the customer self-serve. We'll say, for instance, though, we need some additional help from an agent. Some of the materials need some further clarification. And you'll see here, we're going to now escalate the conversation in real time to an agent. So it's going to be a similar experience that we showed with Service Cloud Voice, but we can now route the conversation natively through omnichannel, assign it to the agent with the right skills and availability to also handle this chat here. And you'll see as we accept this chat, we have some basic capabilities to be able to respond back to the customer. But really from an agent efficiency standpoint, we're now leveraging that full bot conversation prior to escalation. So we don't have to re-ask the questions. We can get a screen pop of exactly who the customer is, perhaps what products they have, what their activities look like on that community, and then also drive the conversation from here. So I can go ahead and continue. You'll see from the customer perspective, it's a seamless transition. As they're interacting with more content on the community, they've made that seamless pass over to the agent. They can also start to engage in a real-time conversation with that resource. And to look more into how we think about managing cases on the chat channel with the Coveo Insights panel, I'll pass it over to Max to talk a little bit about what the strategies and approach are for this piece.
Yeah, exactly. We're back on the Coveo Insight panel, and I wanted to highlight a few points now that we have a new case. You can notice that content that's being recommended for agents has changed proactively based on the case information. Again, here using machine learning. And the second point that I think is really important is that you can notice now the viewed by customer badge on the video that we just watched in the community. So basically that's giving real-time visibility to your agents, so real-time analytics insights to your agents about what's happening on the community. And then I think as Lucas mentioned earlier, that's something that's super important for customer. They don't want to repeat themselves. And for agents, they want to have as much context as they can to personalize the conversation. So just knowing that their customer as watch a video on the community can tell them a lot about their issues and what they can tell them as well as a response to that. And if they want to dig into deeper analytics and also learn more about the customer, they can also click on the icon, the clock icon in the Insight panel. And then they can see even more information about what happened in the community about that specific customer that they're looking at. So they can see that the customer has performed a few queries in the past and the types of documents that they clicked on in the past as well. And here again, the goal is to help your agent have more context to personalize the conversations and avoid your customers having to repeat themselves. So I'll pass it back to Eric, who's going to show you the analytics.
Thank you, Max. So to wrap up and consolidate across all the customer journeys, we're going to show you some of the capabilities we have from an analytics standpoint. So certainly measuring performance and success in every customer interaction is going to be important here. So here's an example of an overall contact center dashboard that really encapsulates all the different channels, the types of cases that customers may be interacting on. It can be used more of a day-to-day kind of quick check on how the service team is performing. And you'll see we have breakdowns by channel types, case reasons, and we also have some trend lines to indicate the performance of the team here. And we showed you a lot of automation and self-service with Einstein bots or voice bots. Here's an example of a dashboard that really, again, shows the themes around measuring KPIs and performance. So you'll see here we can start to measure things like chat case deflection, how effective is that automation in reducing handle time, saving agent time as well, and improving their capacity around cases. And then you'll see here we have trend lines to really measure performance over time and really understanding if there's any kind of product changes, policy changes, changes in the business or how customers interact. We can start to measure the impact of our automation stack and really improve some of the experience from there. With that, I'm going to pass it back over to John Heater.
That was great. Thanks, guys. I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right. Now that you got a chance to see an intelligent contact center in action, we wanted to close on how you can get started to build experiences like the one Eric and Max just showed us. So to do that, we're going to step through 3 steps that you can get started with today. The first, make sure you have your team set up with the tools for success. Second, look for pre-built options to expedite your journey. And then finally, third, building a plan for success. So when you start the journey, you want to make sure that your team is set up to succeed. So if you're currently running a contact center team, you realize all of the complexities around the operations of your business, and you want to make sure your team has that expertise as well. The AI capabilities in particular are what add intelligence to your intelligent contact center. So you'll want to make sure that you leverage tools like Einstein capabilities of Salesforce, as well as the power of Coveo to start to put your data to work for you. And finally, Salesforce is the platform everything's running on. So you want to make sure that your team understands how best to leverage the platform to get the outcomes that you're looking for. And those are all areas in which the NeuraFlash and the Coveo teams really thrive. So once you have these tools and team in place, you don't want to have to get started from a completely blank canvas. So look for pre-built options to help speed you on your journey. Our team at NeuraFlash has worked closely in partnership with the folks at Coveo to help expedite your journey with a lot of the key capabilities that you just saw in the demo. So if you don't have an Einstein bot or want to accelerate what you have, we've created a case bot and a sales bot, which are App Exchange products that can help you get started to create experiences just like in the demo. So with CaseBot, you can drop in an Einstein bot, have a visual builder to match the look, feel, personality of your company, and help you create, update, and manage your caseload right out of the box. SalesBot can do the same thing, but for your sales team. So an Einstein bot that helps generate and create leads out of the box. And these bots can all be pre-configured to integrate with Coveo to help intelligently answer that long tail of questions that often your customers will have within these conversational systems. And both of these you can find on the App Exchange today. And ultimately, this is what we do. So for sure, reach out if you have any questions to help accelerate you on your AI journey. With a free contact center analysis, we usually like to start and suggest you begin by just identifying what your top use cases are to understand your opportunity. Run a health assessment on your knowledge. So just understand how your knowledge is set up and how you can best leverage that in your solutions. And finally, put a plan together tied to an ROI to make sure that you're being driven by outcomes and planning with that end in mind. So with that, let me toss it back to Manuela.
Could you click the next slide? That'd be great. All right, so we noticed some questions. Wanted to open it up for questions and answers. And Michaela, I think you're going to help us with what's come through.
Yes. So we have, thanks everyone for such a great question. And we've got some questions coming in here. So our first question for the day is how, and I think this is regarding Service Cloud Voice, how does it work for accents from different languages?
Yeah, no problem. I can take that one. So Service Cloud Voice can do transcriptions in 3 primary languages real time, like you just saw in that demo. So English, French, and Spanish. And there's also various dialects within those languages that you can select. If you're interested in a language outside of those 3, you can still do the transcription. They just happen batch afterwards. So not real time while your agent's having a conversation, but post call to fill in all of the case details afterwards. So you kind of have 2 options to play with depending on the language and dialect that your user is going to be calling in with.
Thanks, John. Our next question here is for Coveo. Regarding Coveo, how do you measure and track the quality and accuracy of search results and ranking for the search results?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think we can look at two types of KPIs. So first the search KPIs and then the customer service KPIs. So regarding your question, I think really specific to search, what we're looking at is click-through. So the percentage of click-through are people clicking on these articles. Also the average ranking of the results. So making sure that the people are actually clicking on the first top few results. Another thing that's super relevant is the content gap. So you can see what people are searching for and what there's actually no content for. So that can give you insights on improving the content that you need for self-service or customer service for your agents. So I would say kind of that's specific to search. And then we also measure the impact on customer service as well. So how do we help with shorter time to solve cases, first call resolution? We can also help with case deflection, with self-service. And just at the general level, we're helping with customer satisfaction, so CSAT and NPS as well.
Thanks, Max. We also have another question for Coveo. So it says, is Coveo able to work with New Voice Media? We are using Einstein Bot and Salesforce Community for our customer self-service site. How can we bring it all together and stay with New Voice Media? Also, Inventa for NLP. Do you work with Inventa?
Yeah, so Coveo is a very flexible platform. So I know we've done a lot of activities with New Voice Media. And typically, like how we can help is that we have connectors to index data in the Coveo platform. So we don't necessarily need to have an official partnership with New Voice Media or Inventa. So we're really able to go get data based on APIs. So really leveraging either like a push API or REST API to really go get data and bring it in the Coveo platform. So that's really how we can easily kind of adapt and integrate with multiple types of platforms.
Thanks, Max. Our next question we have here is, does Salesforce use NeuraFlash and Coveo?
Do. I can speak to the Coveo piece. So I mentioned a little bit earlier on the community side and Trailblazer community, that search uses Coveo. I think a question that might be brewing is, where does Einstein start and where does Coveo begin? In this case, it's vital to the customer support experience to be able to pull in content from all sorts of different sources: videos, trailheads, content that lives in Salesforce, content that lives outside Salesforce. There are also a variety of other use cases from that same central Coveo index where we're building a profile of Salesforce customer. So that includes corporate website, app exchange, trailhead, the Ask Blaze chatbot, which is coming back up online in a couple months here. And I think some of the really interesting pieces too are the ability to embed Coveo search in product experience. So just like you saw the hook to a Coveo search in a chatbot, when you click on the question mark up in the upper right-hand corner in Lightning Experience, that is pulling a Coveo search and searching Salesforce's knowledge base, find answers from there. So I think Salesforce as a customer is a great use case on how versatile Coveo search can be deployed across.
Yeah, and just to tack on the NeuraFlash side, we also implement the Einstein bot on Salesforce.com and work really closely with that team to best leverage that platform.
Thanks, John and Luke. Our next question we have here is, what are some challenges that a customer might be experiencing that they should engage with Coveo and NeuraFlash for help?
Yeah, that's a good question. I could take that one. I think one of the biggest pain point for enterprise customers is having siloed data and siloed content. So you have content in Salesforce, which is amazing, but you might also have content and data that's outside of Salesforce. So I think that's a key point that Coveo helps with, is really unifying that data and making it available everywhere within Salesforce. We've seen it in the demo, whether it's for the chatbot, the community, or for your agents. So that's one point. And I would say the second point is scaling and relevance. So you have a lot of content, you have thousands of articles, And I think that that's another point, is like, what's going to be the most relevant article for each customer and for each agent. So I think that's also where Coveo really helps on that side.
Yeah, and to add for the NeuraFlash piece of the puzzle, working closely with the Coveo team, a lot of times we'll look at the data that comes through, understand what your use cases are, and then figure out how to also leverage a lot of the native capabilities of the Salesforce platform to layer it onto those experiences to make sure you've created a really good end-to-end journey for your customers.
Thanks, John and Max. The next question we have is, you talked about like a lot of different products today. Where do you recommend that we get started?
Yeah, I can jump into that because I think it tails into what we were just talking about. So always want to think use cases first. So in terms of where to get started, if assuming you already have a number of touch points with your customers, just looking at chat transcripts, if you have voice, understanding what people are calling in from, kind of build out that user journey based on the data we're seeing. And then we usually use that information to prioritize which use cases to focus on, and then that'll drive which technologies to leverage first, be it a bot, voice, or some of the other technologies that we step through in the demo.
Thanks, John. The next question we have here is, how do search and recommendations improve customer service KPIs?
Yeah, great. I think that's a similar question that we had a little bit earlier, but it's really depending on the use case. But for agents, it's really helping them solve cases faster and helping them with first call resolution. But when we're on the community, it's about self-service. So it's more about case deflection and also customer experience. So everything that's around CSAT and NPS. So yeah, and then we've seen a lot of improvements looking at our customers for that. Yeah.
Thanks, Max. The next question we have here is, how long is a typical Einstein bot project?
Yeah, I can talk to that. So again, if you think through use case and user journey first in terms of the driver, a lot of it will definitely depend on what that use case is, but typical timeframes is on the order of from 1 to 3 months, depending on how complex the end-to-end experience is.
Thanks, John. I think we have about one more question left, unless any other questions come in here. But the next question is, what are some of the benefits of Service Cloud Voice?
Yeah, I can talk to that as well. So Service Cloud Voice is extremely exciting because it pulls in the voice channel to the rest of the service console and agent experience. So now through Omni, the same way that your agents interact with customers on any other channel, they can also take voice. And then the same way that your supervisors oversee and monitor your agents on other channels, again, they can do it the same way with voice, completely tied into the overall experience, plus a lot of the AI capabilities around things like real-time transcriptions and being able to key that into a knowledge base like Coveo or things like next best action to really push that experience forward.
Thanks, John. Manuel, do we want to give it another minute or so for any questions to come in, or?
If anyone has any other questions, and if you think of them afterwards, that's fine too. Just feel free to reach out, and we will be, this is recorded, we will send the presentation, and we will send answers to questions as you deliver them to us. So I want to thank you all for your engagement and your great questions.
And to follow up on that, I'd be remiss in not reminding everybody that a little later this evening, we will have an hour of fun with two great comedians sponsored by our gracious hosts for this call, NeuraFlash and Coveo. So if you haven't yet registered for that, please do. Again, it starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you don't have the link or the invite to that, please reach out to your account executive and we'll be sure to get that to you. So with that, we appreciate your time. We look forward to an exciting week ahead with many more sessions to come. And for those joining the next one, we'll see you there. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.